is up, my friends? Welcome to My Chemical Fancast. I'm Haley.
And I'm Kat.
And this is a podcast about all things My Chemical Romance. This week we are discussing the last few songs on Revenge. We're not finished with Revenge, but we're wrapping up the actual main album.
Yeah.
Which went by so fast.
So fast. Well, lasts a little bit longer than Bullets, but it's always really sad when we end an album.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Feels like the end of an era.
It is the end of an era.
If you notice, my voice is a little weird today. I am sick because I guess someone at Comic-Con got me sick. I don't know. Whenever I go into large groups of people, I get ill. So that's just my life now, I guess.
My immune system is very robust, and I have dodged all of your illnesses.
Yeah, I don't understand how you've done that.
Neither do I, but I don't care. I just enjoy it. I was so sick earlier in the year. My body just got tired of that shit.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Perhaps next year you will be a superhuman and I will be ill all the time.
I don't know, man.
Still haven't got my flu shot.
Okay.
I need to do that.
Yeah, you do. You sure do. Okay, let's just do this.
Okay, first track, getting right into it. It's not a fashion statement, it's a fucking death wish. Sometimes censored to just, it's not a fashion statement, it's a death wish on various platforms.
I think lyrically this is one of my favorite songs, at least off Revenge.
It definitely has, I didn't ever do a count of this because that would be dumb, but it has a lot of lyrics, and it's a very storytelling song.
Yeah. Super story-driven, very, very lyrically driven.
This is definitely a song about the Demolition Lovers.
Mm-hmm.
And, fuck it, I'll bring it up now.
Yes.
So, Gerard had a tweet about this that said, fashion statement, probably my favorite off the album, the first song we wrote a week after finishing Bullets. And I think you can really hear that in the song. Mm-hmm. This is a very Bulletsy song. It also uses a phrase from a Bullet song in Best Day Ever, where they use the phrase Starless Eyes, which we pointed out, way back when in our Best Day Ever episode.
Yeah.
And it also has a line, the song starts out, that day when we met. And Best Day Ever is about them meeting in an emergency room, as my mother pointed out to me, because she really liked that line.
Yeah, that's funny. So
I kind of tie this with Best Day Ever somehow.
Yeah. I think this might be I don't know, kind of a throwback song, in the story line of the song, the protagonist is recalling another time or an earlier time.
Maybe. But I also wanted to mention that it is very Bulletsy in the fact that this song doesn't have a repeating chorus.
Yeah, it doesn't have anything.
So many Bullet songs didn't have any fucking hooks.
You can tell that this is a transition song because it has no chorus. Absolutely no chorus.
It might be the only song on this record that doesn't have a chorus. Mm-hmm. Holy shit.
I'm surprised this one slipped by.
Oh no, man.
I'm surprised that the team let it slip by.
I can't believe
that Warner Brothers heard this song and was like, yeah, fine, put it on. Or Howard was like, yeah, this is great.
Oh my god.
I feel like they fought this one. They fought for this one with Howard.
I feel like this one just flew under the radar because they were more concerned, Warner Brothers was more concerned about the singles. So I think this one just slipped right in there.
Right.
And it also just sounds more Bulletsy. You notice the drums more, which is kind of more of a Bullets thing. And the part of the song that starts with, I will avenge my ghosts, the way the guitars work, I think is very Bulletsy. And there's a lot of guitar work in here in the background.
Yeah.
Very fancy guitars.
Another guitar fancies. I had that in my notes that we have guitar fancies, but we'll get to that later.
My exact note was, and all the guitar fancies, so many guitar fancies.
So, right off the bat, we're starting out with a comic book reference. Mm-hmm. Sandman by Neil Gaiman. The first line is, you get what everyone else gets, you get a lifetime, which is the character Death in Sandman says something very similar to this line, and he takes it from that. And so you can kind of tell it's I don't know, I think maybe that line is the devil speaking to the protagonist or something along those lines.
Maybe. Also, Ella at NC Comic Con was dressed as Death.
Yeah.
Yeah, so The perspective in this song?
I think it's from the woman's perspective, from like a previous conversation. That's what I think.
The woman's perspective would corroborate my theory that bitch is dead.
Oh my fucking god, she fucking dead.
I can also see it from the man's perspective, like, for sure, but...
No, I definitely think it's from the woman's perspective, from a previous conversation, like a recollection or like a reason why he's doing this. Promise me that if I die, you will kill every motherfucker responsible.
That was the line that I thought was most compelling of it being from a woman's perspective. Because promise me that when I'm gone, you'll kill my enemies, that she's gone.
Yeah.
And so he's killing all of her enemies.
Correct.
Or something like that, right?
Yeah.
He's the one that's killing people. She's not killing people.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
You know, there's a quote from Gerard, like, about the concept of revenge, saying that the man goes to hell and realizes the woman is alive. But, like, honestly, there's so much damn back and forth for this that I'm just gonna leave it way the fuck over there. And that's it. The woman is dead, the man is alive. Last revenge episode, we finally covered it.
See, here's the thing.
Oh no. I want to take this and form it into a rock and throw it into an ocean. We've covered this.
Here's the thing. I don't want people to think we're being, like, obstinate to be obstinate, because I can definitely see how this could be from the man's perspective, particularly with the part of, like, the hole you put me in wasn't deep enough and I'm climbing out right now, because it implies that someone's coming back from the dead. And if the woman was dead, she definitely wouldn't be coming back because he's failed in his quest to get her back.
Right.
So,
I don't know, though, because honestly, unless you're hearing it straight from Gerard's mouth and he has the story clear in his head this time.
Because we have heard it from his mouth, we just don't believe it from his mouth, so.
We've heard it a couple different ways from his mouth is my problem. But unless we're hearing it straight from him and he's like, no, this is it, this is how the story happened 100%, and, you know, he's not confused, he's not in an interview, he's not rushed or pressured or anything.
You got a lot of qualifiers for what you'll believe out of Gerard's mouth.
He has to be in a sane state of mind. And unless it's that, I don't give a shit what any other... Because he switches perspective so much, it's impossible to tell who is speaking.
Yeah.
You never know when he's switching perspectives.
True. Once you create a piece of art and put it out into the world, you don't get to own it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And people do what they want with it. So, Gerard has been on the record saying that the man is dead, the woman's alive, and somehow he makes a deal to be alive again, kind of, to get her, I don't know. And then she dies, I don't know. He said that. I think he's also said that she's dead.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Yeah.
They're just tragic lovers. With some sort of vaguely Faustian deal made.
Oh boy.
That's all.
Okay, also, in this song, we're not gonna have, this is one of the few songs where we don't have to insert the A clip, because he slides by with an A flat here as the highest note on the entire song. He also did not do any favors for himself with this song, because he said it's one of the hardest to sing live, like harder than Welcome to the Black Parade.
The vocals just, like, keep going.
Yeah.
And they're so big all the time.
He didn't help himself out here at all. So I think this is one of those songs where he, like, if they had it on the set, he was like, oh man, we better put this, like, first or last, because, you know, either I do it right the first time or we save it for last, and my voice is already wrecked, so it doesn't matter what it sounds like.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, I'm not surprised to think that this is a difficult song to sing live, just because, especially, like, the end part, holy shit.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Just have to keep his vocals going and going and going.
Right. Like, A flat is the highest note, but he stays on the A flat like 50% of the song.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
He also had another tweet, his last of the tweets about this. The ending movement in fashion was inspired by the end of All-Star Me by Chris Lane Conley, one of my biggest influences, who heads up the band Saves the Day. And we'll put a clip in. There's definitely a similarity with the vocals, like the end vocals in Fashion Statement, how they're so big and they sort of build on each other in this platformy kind of way. that definitely happens in that song, so I can hear that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Also in the song, the bridge is so good.
Yes.
And it was my favorite thing to listen to as a kid. And I really like how his voice sounds on the line, leaves changing color.
Yeah.
Love it. And there's like a little faded in scream at the end of it.
We love faded in screams, man.
Love that shit.
Yeah. The guitar parts, I think, especially on the bridge, like the bridge parts and I guess it's put in the lyrics as chorus, but they don't have a chorus.
No, it's bullshit.
So we're just gonna call them all bridges. Anything
Yeah.
that's not a verse is a bridge. That part, like the guitars, are unexpectedly bright. Like if you listen to the rest of it, it's really dark, and the guitars all of a sudden are like we're throwing flowers and rainbows and
and
the sun is
kind
shining.
It kind of like triggers something in the back of my mind where it reminds me of another song. Because it does sound like it's gonna go into like a really big, bright MCR chorus, and then it doesn't.
Yeah.
But it gives you that feeling at first, and I talked about that somewhere. Oh, maybe Thank You for the Venom, kind of.
Yeah.
Because it starts really heavy, and then the chorus is a very bright chorus. So you kind of get that chorus fake-out feeling.
Yeah, another fake out.
Love a good fake-out.
Mm-hmm.
The intro guitars, again, are also great. I say it every single song, but they're so good at hitting that.
Uh-huh.
And there's also a little riff that we'll insert a clip of. It's around the line, paint these walls with pitchfork red.
Mm-hmm.
From the race to the resume, we can lose ourselves and paint these walls and pitch from red.
I really like that. Lyrically also, it has the line of lost my fear of falling and I'm climbing out right now. And I think that this is a song that has a lot of their best lines or their most iconic lines. It's a very sort of quintessential MCR song lyrically, I would say.
Yeah, I want I lost my fear of falling as a tattoo.
It has a lot of tattoo lines,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, I want Gerard to write it and I want to get it as a tattoo.
Who knows, man?
Also, okay, so since we mentioned guitars, I can talk about guitar fancies. And I tried really hard to search for a good version of this instrumental. I couldn't find a really high quality version of it because it's literally just people stripping it down themselves. But so this is what I found. We'll insert a clip of it. I will warn you, it's not fantastic quality. It's not. So we're just gonna have to suffer through this together. So take a breath. Here it goes. We're gonna do it. Okay, we're back. We suffered through it. It's okay. Everybody breathe. I know the quality was terrible, and it's okay.
He has that little slowing part. It kind of reminds me of big arena rock from the 80s. It kind of reminds me of Journey.
The non-guitar fancies part, the main part of it kind of was like man, what does that remind me of?
It's Early Sunsets.
Yeah, it's Early Sunsets. That part reminded me of Early Sunsets.
Yeah, it's got the same sort of ideas as Early Sunsets.
Yeah. Also, in the lyrics, they straight up just say hip hip hooray for me, which
I know.
There's the album title,
Well, this was the first song they wrote after Bullets, so maybe they
Yeah.
just held that. They wrote that line, then they're just like, oh, I'll take this for later.
Mm-hmm.
Next song, Cemetery Drive.
Marked grave, where the searchlights find us drinking by the mausoleum door, and they found you on the bathroom floor.
Yes.
This is one of the songs where when they play it live, they do a really good job of doing a cool wind up.
Yeah.
Because they usually do the drums, and Gerard will ask people to clap, and I have a clip, because sometimes he says some shit, and this might not be objectively funny, but it just really hit me in the right way when I heard it.
Oh boy.
Y'all come here to have a good fucking time today, whatever. Then let me see you put your fucking hands together. You didn't pay to just fucking sit there and stand there, put your goddamn hands together. Come on, people! This song is about the hardest drive we ever been on.
Anyway, sometimes he'll,
Wow.
he'll ask people to clap. Sometimes he'll add a line in.
Yeah.
Which
I love
find funny.
I love when he gets frustrated with the crowd. And he's like, "You're not doing
Come
what I
on,
want you
people."
to do, and I don't understand why." He's done that a couple times before. One of them was during Prison. It was during a performance of Prison when he does the go, 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 there we go now. And so he was doing that, but they weren't repeating the go back to him, and he was like, "Y'all too slow, here we go now."
He's just really good at leading a crowd.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the ways in which he's good at leading a crowd is that he does not settle for anything
No,
less than what he came here for.
You have to meet his expectations. He will not do all the work for you. You have to meet him halfway.
I really find he says the hardest drive we ever been on a few times. Like he does it in Life on the Murder Scene too.
Yeah.
And it slays me every time. I think it's so funny the way he delivers
The
it.
way he speaks there. Like
Now about 4 years.
Yeah, we've been on this long road now about 4 years. Like, where are you from?
This song is about the hardest drive me and Mikey and my band ever went on. We've been on this long road now about 3 years. This song's called Cemetery Drive.
I try to think of what that accent, because like when I first hear it, I kind of think like kind of Southern Preacher, but not
Yeah.
exactly, because like the R isn't the same. I don't know.
It's kind of like a Mississippi kind of.
Yeah, like maybe
Southern
like a really
Preacher?
deep Southern.
Yeah, really deep, like proper Southern.
I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's pretty great. Okay, this is, I think, one of the most stereotypically emo songs that they have ever written, but it's still a bop. But
Yes.
I mean, that's not to say that I don't love it, but I do think that the lyrics
Oh yeah, they're very dark.
are like real dark here.
I wrote, "Wow, such goth, so cemetery, many bloods." So yes, that's my overall impression of the
Such
song.
goth, so cemetery, many bloods.
There are perhaps a couple references which they've never claimed, but I've noticed.
Yeah.
Cemetery Gates is the name of a Smiths song, and that seems right up his alley. And there's also a line in a David Bowie song called Where Are We Now? And the line is just walking the dead, so both very much in Gerard's wheelhouse.
So the drums
The drums!
kick off this song
Mhm.
in the most phenomenal way.
This is a drum-heavy song, and it's better for it.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. You're just like, oh, this is a bop, 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 bop. So the drums kick it off, and the guitars they're just like noodling around in the beginning. So many guitar fancies in this song.
I really like the pretty guitars in the verses, where it's just like clean guitars.
It's
I
oh my
love
gosh.
that.
I feel like it kind of gives it like an atmospheric or dreamlike
Yeah.
vibe. This whole song for me, I feel like it's a dream. Like in the storyline, I feel like this song is a dream for the protagonist, or like, I don't know, kind of a nightmare, where, there's that intense whispering, and there's a lot of like throwback about, talking about his lover, and
because there is suicide mentioned, but there's two different methods of suicide mentioned, which obviously would not be possible. So,
well, in a dream it is.
in a dream it is, yeah. Because so maybe that's also a key that it might be more of a dreamy kind of song.
Yeah, it could actually, what I've seen is that it could draw a connection to ephedrine. When he said we're going down to New Orleans and we took ephedrine, one of the side effects of ephedrine is hallucination. So I think this song could definitely be a hallucination or a dream about his lover or something like that, because the whole thing kind of has that unrealistic dreamlike vibe.
Yeah, and it's also the lyrics are kind of more abstract. They're not the storytelling lyrics of Fashion Statement or of Never Told You What I Do for a Living. So I can see that. It's more imagistic.
Yeah. All the background stuff that's happening in this song, there's a lot of subliminal messaging kind of things.
Subliminal messaging.
Yeah, there's like in the backgrounds of the verses, there's in the second verse where he's whispering, "Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it."
Okay, so There is definitely whispering in the background, and I've heard that it's "Don't Do It," but I can't. One, I can't hear that for myself. Two, I've never seen it written down officially of what's being whispered. Do we know that?
It's subliminal, so you wouldn't.
Well, but he did it.
Okay, so if you listen to the stripped vocals, and we can input a clip of this, you can hear him going, "Don't do it, don't do it, don't." You could hear him doing that.
Because I can always hear, like, when somebody's told me it's "Don't Do It," like, I can hear the D and the T. I can hear that, that it could be that. But I've just never known for sure.
This is also really bad quality because it's just people stripping it down themselves. Okay.
That's incredible. I'm so glad I heard that. That's incredible.
You're welcome.
I can hear it being "Don't Do It," but I want to listen to it myself with, like, good headphones and just, like, sit down. And
Yeah, you
figure it
have
out.
to. Yeah, you can't just listen to it, like, with no headphones or with crappy audio or whatever. I mean, this is crappy audio because it's just,
It's just that he hits the consonants but not the vowels, you know? So, I mean, I can hear it being "Don't Do It," but I want to confirm for myself that it's "Don't Do It."
at Gerard.
By listening to it in a dark room. Also at Gerard. It reminds me of, like, the records. They're like, you play it backwards and it has a satanic message.
Yeah.
But also, the reason why I questioned that for a while, one is because I didn't hear a video like this. Two is because I think people started hitting on that mostly after they were accused of being a death cult. And they were like, they have a whole song where he says, "Don't do it." So that's why I've never taken that at face value.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's plausible. I can see why you would have doubts. But from what my ears are telling me.
No, I can hear it for sure.
Yeah. And the, where he moves on to the "there it all, care it all" part. I just love all the background stuff.
I do like it a
that
lot.
he does. That definitely gives it a dreamlike vibe for me. And, like, here we're back to the intense whispering here as well.
Loves a good whisper.
Yeah, he does.
Would like ASMR a lot. He is the prime candidate for being into ASMR.
He would.
Right?
Yeah, he would be, totally. And if he doesn't know about it or he isn't into it, he's totally open to it.
Yeah. Gerard, I have someone to introduce you to. Her name is Maria.
Her name is Gentle Whispering.
She's Russian. She's incredible. Let's talk about the alternate interpretation of this song.
Okay.
I think this can also be read as a song that's more personal and more literally about being in a band. Like, it's still dreamy for sure, but I think there's a lot of lines in it that could point to it being about being on the road and the stress and self-destruction that comes with that, and then the jarring sensation of suddenly being home again, but it's not that much better because you still have a lot of dark feelings inside of you, and getting up on stage and performing for people and being vulnerable and emotional and feeling like that's all they want you for, and that your pain or dark emotions is their entertainment.
Right.
And there's also a direct reference to singing songs that make you slit your wrists, which is, I could see people, like, putting MCR's songs in that sort of genre, and I think that Gerard would even acknowledge that a lot of them are about self-destruction or self-harm or, darkness. So I feel like this could also be a song by MCR about MCR.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I'm on board with that interpretation.
And the way down thing.
Yeah.
Because his name is Way, and also it could be way down into a grave.
We have to mention the live performance where Mikey fell during the way down part.
R.I.P. Mikey.
And then Frank just, like, goes over and lays on the floor next to him, and Gerard just goes and checks on him and is like, "You good? Alright, we're chill."
And pokes him.
And there's a line in this song, "Did you get what you deserve?" that is also used again in Dead in the Black Parade.
Love a good throwback.
Yeah. Or throw forward, I guess.
Throw forward, yes. Well, this is what's being thrown back to.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a really dark song, but it also is just such a bop, man. Such a bop.
Yeah.
And for, like, the really brief time in my early college years when I was like, I can grow out of MCR, and I didn't listen to that as frequently, this is one of the very few MCR songs that I kept on my regular playlist, that I let myself keep on a regular playlist.
Yeah, this was your guilty pleasure, wasn't it?
It was just too much of a bop to deny.
This was your secret song that you hid from everyone.
My secret song. I didn't have. Listen, you're really overestimating the amount of friends I had to keep this from. Trust me, I didn't have to do anything dramatic to keep my taste hidden from people. No one gave a shit.
Listen, I feel like if you are trying to push them out of your life, them being MCR, if you're trying to push MCR out of your life, it just means that you need them more than ever.
It's true. No, for real though, like, live your life authentically. I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, you probably already are. But just in case you're not.
If this podcast is your guilty pleasure.
Yeah, don't let it be guilty. Buy a sticker. Put it on something visible.
Tell all your friends.
Tell all your friends.
Oh, okay. So, he slips by with the A again here. Because he hits the A, but his highest note in the song is the B.
He's moving up in the world.
Yes. So we'll put in a clip of the highest note because I really like this one. Okay. Couple things.
I don't know, man.
Couple things. There's definitely an effect on his voice.
Yeah.
There's at least 3 of him singing that part.
There's like so
but
many tracks.
you can hear because I know that he did hit it live because you can hear the part where he stops. And so that when a vocalist stops like that, we call that a glottal stop. And when they stop like that, it means they're putting extra tension on themselves, and he's like gearing himself up for that. So it may not have sounded as crystal clear and pristine as it does in the recording, but he did do it.
I think it's just that there's like so many layers.
Yeah, there's
so many
a lot
layers
put on it. But yeah, he slid through with that B. Bet he'll never do that again.
No, he sings in a higher range now.
He sings in head voice in a higher range. This B he sang in full voice, which is different from head voice.
But yeah, that's never gonna happen again.
No.
And getting down the germs, he's getting back to it a little bit, but it was not high at all.
Like when he stays in his lower range, it's healthier for him, I think.
It also just sounds more like Gerard.
Yeah, so
the classic Gerard that we know and love.
Like as you get older, your vocal cords get more stiff, which means and
he's fucked them over so much.
Yeah, and he's done a lot to his vocal cords.
666 Coffee and Cigarettes Boulevard.
So as you get older, your voice naturally goes down in pitch. So if he's trying to stay up there where the B's are, like, you can't do that when you get older, especially when he's not taking care of his voice like a fucking, opera singer would,
Yeah, getting down the germs was hopeful for me because it told me that, like, he can sing down there. He doesn't have to be in head voice. And so maybe he'll stretch it out, like, he'll work it more. I don't know if he's ever talked about taking vocal lessons.
He has a couple times.
He talked about getting with someone briefly, and they were like, "You sing great, do some warm-ups," and then he did that.
That's not how that works at all, though.
No.
Oh,
he's like, I pull on my tongue and say, gee, hee, hee, and I'm good to go.
That's not how it works.
Next song. I Never Told You What I Do for a Living. This is another story song that kind of wraps up the Demolition Lovers storyline. The general gist of it being that his killing spree is done, and I think he regrets it. He's like, my soul's pretty stained, can't take this one back.
Yeah, he's having some regrets here. So this is where...
He's like, I tried.
This is where Gerard had that... He was in an interview, and he was like, I just figured out the end of the story yesterday. This is the total truth. I was in an interview, and I didn't say it during the interview, but I actually figured out the end of the story. It's weird because I never came up with an ending to the story, which is evident. It's a really bleak story, though, but it would have to end this way if it was a movie, right? So the guy has to bring the devil, the souls of 1,000 evil men, to be united with the woman he loves. I'm sure a lot of people saw this coming, but I never realized it. So obviously he kills 999 evil men, and then he realizes the last evil man he has to kill is himself. I thought of that, and I was like, man, why didn't I think of that before? But at the moment, I don't know what it'd be like as a song. I feel like when he was thinking about this is the song that turned into.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned this before. When they originally did the list for how this was going to be, which was very tentative, but they posted it on their website.
Yeah.
I'm Not Okay was called The Last Time, or This Will Be the Last Time,
Yeah.
or something like that. And I had heard at some point that song was about the suicide. So I think, like, he had this revelation, decided, we gotta end with a suicide. At first tried to make that I'm Not Okay, and they were like, this is a hit maker. It can't be about suicide. And then this song came out of it.
Mm-hmm.
This song also, I relate a lot to Demolition Lovers on the last album. They're both ending tracks, obviously, and about the Demolition Lovers. But I feel like the way they work as ending tracks is also really similar. Where Demolition Lovers just, like, builds over and over again, like, adds new elements and gets really big until the end where it just stops so starkly. And I feel like this song also does that, a lot of building. And it goes on, like, longer than you think it will and builds more than you anticipate it doing. And I really like that. I think they also do that with Famous Last Words in a way, but I think it's more apparent on Demolition Lovers and this song.
Yeah.
It's a way they like to end albums, which I really like.
So, since this song is about the man realizing that he has to die and he's, like, preparing to kill himself, I don't know how he actually dies, though. Like, I think he maybe shoots himself in the head, but we're not really sure.
I don't know. Guns are obviously prominent in this album and in their, I want to say iconography all the time, but that feels like the wrong word. But in their merch and stuff, you know, you've got the guns circle, the gun wreath, perhaps.
Yeah.
I kind of assume he dies. I mean, he could die by the suicide, but maybe he could die just by, you know, Satan intervening and taking his soul.
Yeah, he kind of, the ending I think is kind of open to interpretation, as all of this album is, but the ending especially here is open to interpretation, because the last line is, and we're all dead now. Like, that's the last line of the whole album.
Yeah.
And, you know, the guitar fades out, and it just kind of, even the instrumental part of it just kind of leaves everything open to interpretation, and it leaves things open-ended. So, like, you know, did the lovers end up back together, or did he go back to hell and reunite, or is she in heaven, or is she alive now?
She's not in heaven, no way.
Like,
she killed people.
Did the devil claim the dude's soul? Lots of stuff could be happening at Gerard. I need clarification.
I think, yeah, it is kind of open-ended. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm okay with it, but for me, I always want to know, like, what was in the writer's head, and I know a lot of writers are like, it defeats the purpose of the story, or whatever. I don't care. I just want to know what happened. What's canon?
The answer is nothing happened, because it's not real.
Shut up.
I don't know, because in Fashion Statement, there was very much this dark hopefulness of, we'll be together again in death. In this one, it sounds like he's more unsure if they get to be together.
Yeah. Presumably,
if they're both dead, you would assume they were together, but anything is possible. Who knows?
I mean, if they're both in hell, they're probably sure as fuck not together.
You don't think you get to be together in hell?
No, that's what the hell is about. You don't get to be with the ones you
love. Separate corners for both of you.
Yeah, they get to be in Hell Dimension 1, and she's in Hell Dimension 2.
Hell Dimension 1. You take an elevator to Hell Dimension 2.
Yeah. 7th layer, 6th layer.
Oh man, you haven't seen Doctor Who.
The 9th Circle of Hell.
There's like a new a Peter Capaldi Doctor Who episode with like an elevator and like a ship that's close to a black hole, and one side of the ship is aged a lot faster than the other side gets close to the black hole. And
sure.
The elevator takes you through time. I don't know. Anyway.
Okay. So the line, never again and never again, another throwback. They're doing a lot of throwbacks here. This is a throwback to Honey, where he's a never again. Lots of throwbacks in these last 3 songs. I don't know if that was intentional, or I don't know if that was just like, oh, these are the songs that we just so happen to have throwbacks in, and they're the last 3 songs.
I don't know. What I like about that line is that the guitars do that melody, that vocal melody, behind Gerard when he's singing the I Tried part, and I always really enjoy that. I also love the background. There's just like a background voice of Gerard going like, oh, a lot in the interlude part, and I really like that part.
Dance along to the tune of your death.
And there's also a good scream.
Oh, there's a lot of good screaming in this song, man.
I'm just always here for that.
Hey, guess what note is here?
Fuck you.
It's on the I Tried. So that part, that's where he hits the A. And the whole I Tried, like screaming and the yelling of it, it's so sad. It's so desperate. And
I know, I love it.
Oh my gosh. He's so emotive, especially in this song.
Especially when he gets to I Tried in the scream parts, he's like, there's just a lot more effort put into it.
Yeah.
You hear a lot more of his breaths.
Yeah.
And I
He's
really like
putting his whole body into it.
Yeah, I really like his vocals in here. It again adds to like the building of the song. I really like the climax of this song.
Yeah.
Like it really gets me. And it's one of those songs where when it gets to that point, I just kind of have to like sit there and listen to it. Because it just sort of hits you over the head. It's like you're going to listen to this.
Yeah.
There's just so much of everything. The end of the song especially gives you so much of everything. There's loud distorted guitars. There's hard-hitting drums. Honestly, just keeping a beat on the last section.
Yeah.
And you also have this little clean guitar in your right ear, which is gorgeous. It's like very much a wall of sound kind of situation. And then it all goes out like one by one in the last few seconds.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Shall we talk about the demo?
Yes, we shall. So the demo version is on Life on the Murder Scene, on the second disc.
The music is like the exact same, but the vocals
are so different.
I've got no idea what the fuck he's saying. I don't even know if he knows what he's saying. I no idea.
Honestly, I think the demo version is him mostly freestyling over it.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just don't know what the fuck he's saying because he's not saying words. He's just like, this is something that sounds like the vocal line.
Yeah. It's
so
like,
work around it.
Just a lot of being out of breath and screaming. There's a lot of babies in it. He's got a line that's like, it's for the glory, baby.
Yeah, baby, 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 baby. That he says it a lot there. One of the most notable lyrical differences in the demo, though, is it ain't the money and it sure as hell ain't just for the fame in the album version. But in the demo version, it ain't for money, baby, baby, I just do it for fame. It's for the glory, baby.
It ain't for money, baby, baby, I just do it for fame. It's for the glory, baby.
So many babies.
First of all, 3 babies.
Who does he think he is?
He's just being sassy. He's freestyling, so he's like, something fits in here, and he's going to say baby over again. But notable difference is it ain't the money, it ain't for the money. Shows up both times. But in the demo, he says, I just do it for fame. In the album version, he said, it sure as hell ain't just for the fame.
It makes more sense for him to say it's not just for the fame because in the album, he's working to get back his lover. So it isn't just for the fame, even though he's probably infamous for killing 1,000 people. People have probably noticed.
Yep.
So I think that's a good change. But maybe he's just getting ideas out there.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not saying that this is like a significant, like, oh, this is a really deep insight into Gerard's mind. I'm just saying that this is something that he said, but he kept that part and was like, no, we're going to change that and we're going to make it this instead.
Yeah. I do think it's a deep insight into Gerard's mind. Because I think he thinks he's like some cool 60s street guy with like cool jeans and a jacket in New Jersey running things.
Oh, man.
Like, not quite a mobster, but, like, knows a lot of mobsters.
Like, kind of in the Rat Pack.
Yeah. It's for the glory, baby.
Yeah. So, the demo version is a lot dirtier, and the lyrics are probably unfinished. I don't know. I think he's just yelling. But we totally lack the intro part. There's no, like...
Yeah, those drums.
Yeah, there's no structure, you know? And... You know, I'm surprised actually that they released it because with something that doesn't have that much structure and something that is so different from the album version, I mean, it's cool that they released it. I really like it, but I think this was actually one of the first versions or the first version of this song that I heard. So I thought that this was the actual version of it.
It was definitely the first version I heard because, again, I didn't own Revenge. So, yeah.
Yeah, this is the first version that I heard of it. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I really like this song. And then I heard the album version and I was like, what the fuck is this?
You really like this song where you can't tell what this person's saying.
Yeah, I really liked it. Didn't matter what he was saying. He screamed a lot, so I liked it.
I think the music, like the guitars, is like pretty much the same for both tracks. Like, from what I remember of it. But yeah, maybe didn't have that intro. So I do think like the structure's there, just not lyrically.
Right.
I'm upset that they only released a few demos. I like all the demos they do release. And I just know that they have more.
I know they have more.
It's so upsetting to me that they have more and they won't share them.
They don't want to release them because they're unfinished products and, you know, it's not what it's supposed to sound like, and it's...
Who cares? We have the
rough
finished products
and
now.
Yeah, we have the finished tracks. We know what it's supposed to sound like. Now give me what it was not supposed to sound like.
Yeah.
Like, give me all your fuck-ups.
Like, they did a little bit in the MCRX release.
Yeah.
Which is my favorite part of that record.
Yeah,
is the demos part.
I love hearing things that, you know, we haven't heard. It's like getting a new song. It's like getting a new MCR song.
House of Wolves version 1.
Yeah.
An awesome version of House of Wolves.
Yep. Not That Kind of Girl.
Yeah.
All the Angels. Emily. Yeah.
Release the tapes.
Girl, wait till we get to that part. Ooh, that's going to be something.
So Gerard tweeted that he thought that Desert Song should have ended this album, and I think he is dead wrong. I think this is the right ending. It goes with all the other endings I usually do. It's an ending that, you know, finishes off the album with like a big bang, a big hurrah.
Right.
And still has your little quiet piece when everything starts to fade out. And I think that's how this album should end. Yeah. Desert Song is a great song. I love Desert Song. It shouldn't be the end. You're wrong, Gerard. It's a very theatrical way to end an album. And I think that works for them, especially in this album where it was their first good attempt at being theatrical.
I agree.
So, I think that's all we have to say about these. That's all we have to say about all of the Revenge songs.
Yeah, except for the B-sides, which
for the B-sides.
I will go off on, because I love their B-sides, honestly.
They're great. This album is done.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's really sad.
This is a lot of people's favorite album.
Yeah. Understandably.
I don't know if it's my favorite album. I usually say my favorite album. I mean, I'm torn because, like, the album I listen to the most and enjoy the most is Bullets. But the best album, I would say, is Black Parade. A lot of people disagree and think that this is their best album. Yeah. Which I can understand. I have an argument for why it's not.
We'll get there.
But we'll get there.
We have so much time for Black Parade.
So much. I hope
so much time that we're not even going to get to it in 2 weeks. We're just going to hold off on it for a little bit.
2019. I hope that we have done potentially your favorite album justice. If you have any thoughts of things we didn't say,
please let us know.
Tell us, because we do have at least one more episode for Revenge, which will be about the B-sides and the album wrap up. So we can put your comments in there.
All right, so we're going to move on to fanecdotes, and I'm always very excited for fanecdotes. But before we get to your guys' fanecdotes, the stories that you have sent us about your experiences with MCR, we're only going to do a couple today because they're very long, which is fantastic, but we're only going to get to a couple. I'm going to do mine first, because mine isn't how I got into them or anything inspiring or whatever, but I feel that it's really funny, and it involves my family. Neither of them remember this. My mom nor my sister. I have told my mother about this, and she was like, that didn't happen. And I was like, it really did. Okay, so picture this. I'm 14. I'm sitting in front of a TV.
You look emo.
I look super emo. My love for MCR is maybe 6 or 7 months old.
Not even a full baby yet.
Nope. And I'm watching on demand, and I find the video for vampires. So I select it. I watch this video. My mother walks into the living room when Gerard is screaming and he has that demonic face. She says, "This is not the music good Christian girls should be listening to." I said, "Mom, it's just music. They're not demonic."
Yeah.
So my mother, if you don't know her, Shout out to Mom because she listens to every single one of these episodes, so she's going to be listening to this right now and be like, don't talk about me. So she's pretty religious, or at least she used to be like pretty uptight about it. So we used to go to church every Sunday. And when I started listening to MCR, I started getting into the fashion of it also. And, would wear black all the time. I wore fishnets. I wore really, like, Captain Jack Sparrow thick eyeliner.
Oh, yeah.
And
I've seen photographs.
Yep.
They're everything you imagine.
And we would go to church, and I would dress like this in church to let everyone know.
Incredible!
Oh, I would let everyone know. Listen, I don't belong here. No, I'm kidding.
I'm not one of you.
I just wanted to make it very clear that I was other. And I would sit in church, and, I'm 14. I'm not super invested in what's going on, and I'm a little fidgety. So, like, my leg bounces a lot, and I, like, shift a lot, and all of that. So my mother noticed this, and apparently she spoke with my sister, and because of the music I was listening to, because of the clothes I was wearing, because of the way I was acting in church, she said to my sister, I think your sister is possessed.
She's great. I don't remember if when you told me this before, if you included the part about fidgeting in church.
Yes.
She thought you had a demon inside of you that was like burning because it was in a church.
Yes. Yep. Sweating like a whore in a pew.
That's insane.
My sister comes to me laughing her ass off and is like, Mom thinks you're fucking possessed. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. So it didn't progress much further than this, but my sister said that the conversation she had with my mother was that my mother wanted to have me see a priest so that he could figure out what was going on and potentially exorcise me, because she 100% thought I was possessed. She will claim that she does not remember this, but it happened. It really did.
That's some crazy shit.
When you are 14 years old and your mother thinks that you're possessed, it's not something that you forget.
No, you don't. That's traumatizing. Holy shit.
It was really just mostly funny, but it was a lot.
Yeah.
And we moved on from it pretty quickly after that, but yeah, she definitely thought I was possessed.
Like, I wouldn't. Sure. I would hold that grudge forever.
Oh, man, no. There's so many other things that I hold grudges for. That's not one of them.
I mean, we live in the South, and I knew a lot of people, I mean, not a lot, but I knew a good amount of people in, like, high school and middle school who would come to school dressed, in good clothes their parents picked out, and then go to their locker and change into a band tee and hid all their CDs in their lockers because they couldn't take them home because their parents would think they were possessed, or just that it wasn't music that they were allowed to listen to. So I saw a lot of that shit.
Yeah. I just think that that's the funniest image, is that she saw me sitting in church in those clothes and fidgeting around, and she said there's a demon inside.
What a leap to make, to think that your child has a demon inside of them.
That's so funny. I also had, like, a lot of anger problems back then that probably contributed to that, but, like, there's a lot of things that led up to that conclusion, but it's a really extreme conclusion to make.
It is a very extreme conclusion to make. Your mother is nice now. We should point that out, but...
Yeah. No, my mom's super chill now, and would not think this about anyone or anything, but yeah, back then, it was pretty par for the course.
It's insane.
Yes, so you're welcome for that story, and we're going to move on because my mom's going to be mad at me.
All right, so here's a fanecdote from one of y'all. I think it's on Twitter. From @BulletsHalo. They say, first of all, I just want to say that your podcast is absolutely amazing. I enjoyed every episode you released. Keep up the good work.
Thank you so much.
I'm also here to tell you the story of how I discovered MCR and how they impacted my life for the podcast. I first heard about them when I started high school, so at least 11 years ago. Alright, so they're like, I was counting back to see how far it was since I was in high school. They're older than us, I think, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
At least 11 years ago. Some friends of mine just talked about MCR here and there, but I never had the urge to listen to them. 1 year later, during a family trip, I went in a music shop that was selling off a bunch of Black Parade CDs, so I bought one and I listened to it once I came back home. I was quite speechless on the amount of quality of the album, so I searched everything else about them in a short time later. Quite cliché, I can say. I felt, and I still feel, really near to Gerard and his problems. The way he talked about them was something new to me. I mean, I've heard about depression often, but he was exposing himself so naturally. Also, I love the love he puts in everything he does, from comics to music, an extraordinary stage beast, and an awkward guy on the street altogether. Rock stars to me were always these untouchable figures. He always seemed to me a normal man with an insatiable amount of passion, a person to empathize with. He taught me that it can be possible to achieve my wishes, that being myself is the best thing I can possibly do, that it's not important to be perfect, but to have something inside that makes you burn. I quit my fashion design studies to follow my dream of working in the animation industry. I worked hard for that, and last year I was accepted at the most important animation school of my country. To thank him and his music for that, I decided to get a tattoo that mixed together my passion for animation and his presence as a role model in my life. Unfortunately, I never had the chance to meet him, but I really hope to do that in the future, even just to tell him that I'm braver and more at peace with myself. It's because of him. I support him and the other former MCR members. I love to see them happy with what they are doing now, even after the split. Sorry for the long message, and thank you again for your incredible work. We don't mind the long message.
No.
We love a good long message. I want to see your tattoo.
Yeah.
Send it to us.
Please do.
Maybe we have MCR tattoos. Who can say?
All right, so our next story is from Shay, and it's in two parts. The first part I will condense because, one, it is very, very personal, and it was a very beautiful story, and thank you so much for sharing it with us. But unfortunately, we can't share the whole thing on the podcast just for time constraints. But essentially, Shay had her brother committed suicide when she was a teenager, and she went through a really, really hard time after that, through depression and finding MCR and learning about Gerard's background and finding inspiration in him and, finding that he brought himself back from that and is better now. So she said that today she is 27 and married, and she has a 9-month-old daughter, and Gerard and MCR in general is her biggest influence and favorite band. So thank you so much for sharing that story. But the second part is one that we will share in a little more detail. So the next part is a little long too. We'll see how well my voice holds out, because when I talk for longer periods of time, I start coughing. So we'll see.
You can hand me the baton in the middle if you need to.
Okay. So this is also from Shay. She said in the summer of 2011, she was 20 years old, 5.5 years of loving MCR. Her stepfather had told her about an auction where an autographed MCR guitar was being auctioned off, and she and her friend were like, oh my gosh, we gotta go to this. So they went there, and they found out that there were also going to be 2 sets of 2 meet and greet packages, and so they definitely had to go. They had to win. All right, so she goes to the auction, and this is where I'll pick up with her exact words. So before the auction starts, I am at a table where some snacks are, and an older woman says, well, I can guess why you're here. I was wearing an MCR shirt. I just kind of smiled and said, originally guitar, but now passes. She continued to talk to me the whole time before things started. She mentioned how much their fan base amazed her and that they meant so much to their fans. It surprised me that an older woman her age would know them so well. I told her my story, which she was enthralled in. A minute later, I asked how they got the items, and she proceeded to tell me that James, the band's keyboardist, was her nephew, and his dad had previously been their pastor.
Incredible.
As I had spent the past 30 minutes or so talking to James Dewey's aunt. When the auction was about to begin, she wished me luck on getting passes, and I went to a seat. The guitar went, one of the passes came up, I fought. And then it went above our agreed budget. I was devastated. I knew I only had one more shot. A few more items went by, and the keyboard came up, and my stepdad won it. Suddenly, the man who won the first set of packages appeared kneeling beside me. You were the one who wanted the passes, weren't you? I nodded, and he smiled. I only wanted them for my brother and his girlfriend. I was going to just all 4 of us go, but the second set is yours. You get the second set, I won't even bid up. If it continues like last time, you shouldn't have a fight. I was in shock and could barely get a thank you out. Sure enough, when the second set of passes came up, only one other person bid, and stopped fairly quickly. I won. I cried. James's aunt hugged me. I was given contact info for their manager and given all details about where to go, etc. Already long story slightly made shorter, their manager at the time was awful and had no interest in honoring these passes for anyone involved. She stopped answering emails, didn't leave names at will call, didn't answer phones, nothing. I was losing hope. I had come so close, and now we wouldn't even be let into the concert, let alone meet them. That's when I heard a familiar voice call my name. James's aunt was there with his younger cousin. She asked why we were still all out here. I explained, and she was instantly irritated. She walked away for only a moment and quickly returned. She told us that she would be waiting there with us until something was done, so she would know we made it, but that she just spoke to the guys on the phone and they were sending someone personally. Sure enough, about 5 minutes later, a tall man in a security shirt came out and asked for me by name. I grabbed my friend and the 4 others who were out there. James's aunt smiled at me and came along. When we got to the entrance to the backstage area, she stopped us, hugged me again, and told me to have fun. It meant a lot. We get backstage, and the manager who had been so awful to us was obviously annoyed that she'd gotten in trouble, told us they would all be out in a minute, and had us sit down at a picnic table, outdoor amphitheater in a band catering area. I was shaking. To this day, my friend says she thought I was going to pass out from sheer nerves. I got super pale and jittery, couldn't sit still, and every flicker of movement made me jump. I can know that feeling. It felt like hours, but it was really only 5 minutes before the girl across from me, who could see down the hall, the manager had gone through and gasped, "Here they come." I saw Frank first, then Mikey, then Ray. Honestly, that's about when I realized this was real, and my brain short-wired because for a solid minute I completely blanked out. I know that feeling. Snapping back to reality, when I realized the guys had all split up from their line and were mingling with everyone, Ray was reaching a hand for me. I was talking to Ray when I felt a tap on my shoulder. Spun around to see Frank, who was hilariously perky as he introduced himself. I talked to those two for a bit when I hear another voice say, "So you're Shay." Confused, I looked up, and approaching behind Ray and Frank was James.
Sounds like they're cornering her. But
I know. Who then filled me in that they knew everything about me because his aunt told them all about me and how happy she was that I had gotten the passes. I was in shock that my favorite band had already known who I was. Eventually, we talked so long that we added in my friend and Mikey, who she had been talking to. James went on to visit some of the others. Frank was talking to me when Ray interrupted him with an elbow to the arm. When Frank and I looked over at him, he just got this knowing smile on his face and nodded behind me. I honestly, at this point, had been so wrapped up with the fact that anyone from my favorite band had been talking to me for so long, I hadn't even questioned where Gerard was. But when I turned to see what Ray was looking at, like that, there was Gerard 2 feet from me, just on the other side of the picnic table.
It's so funny that the rest of the band knew that Gerard was like the chosen one.
Yeah. The Messiah. That's when I broke. I felt tears coming on. He smiled at me and said hi. I froze for a second, finally managing a very weak hi back, immediately followed by, "Can I have a hug?" My voice cracked halfway through, and that was when I realized by this point everyone had heard my story because everyone, including the other pass holder, said "aw" or made a noise or a happy comment for me. He smiled, rushed around the table, and said, "Aw, of course." He held me for far longer than I expected, and though I shed a few tears, I kept far more composure than I thought I would. I got to spend the rest of the meet and greet with him, another 15 minutes or so. I gave him a letter that said all it could have, and gave him a very brief version of my story as he gave me his autograph. The item I brought to be signed was an in-memory shirt for my brother. We got pictures taken with the band and were sent to VIP seats just beside the pit. Noticing James's aunt not far from us smiling and waving at me when we got to our seats, I mouthed a thank you to her. The true icing on the cake for me was later that night when Gerard made a comment that told me he read my letter. He then went on to talk about how they always sing this song and it has a lot of meaning to him personally, but this time they were playing it for someone else. Someone that he read that song in particular had meant a great deal to. As he said that, he turned around to prepare for the song to start. He winked and pointed to our VIP group. I waited, wondering if what I was thinking really was what he was saying. Sure enough, Helena started. I cried the whole time they played it, and Gerard came over to our area and reached for me for a moment. As the song was wrapping up, he pointed at me, then pat his heart. My friend actually got a very blurry pic of him pointing at me. Definitely a day I will never forget and will forever mean the world to me. The end.
She sent some cool pictures of
Yeah.
the blurry photo of Jorah pointing at her, and also a group picture of her and her friend meeting the band. This is also Danger Days era band.
Yeah.
BT Dubs. Jorah has a good sassy hand on his hip, raisin shorts. That's all I have to report back about this picture. James has his hair dyed purple and a headband on. It's a good time. Thank you for sending in your stories.
Yes.
They're awesome. Thank you for sending in your photographs. Thanks for sharing with us. It really matters that you care to share with us.
Yeah, thank you. And we always try to reply back to everyone that shares with us. I like to speak with everyone that shares with us, so thank you for sharing.
Yeah, we have such a backlog of fanecdotes. We're gonna get to you, we promise.
Some of these fanecdotes are honestly from like 2 or 3 months ago.
That one was from September.
Yep. So we apologize that it's taken so long, but it'd be like that sometimes.
Thanks for sending in your stories. We really like to read them. We really like to share them. And thanks for listening to our podcast, guys.
Yeah.
We're all in this together.
All in this together.
We are, though. The fandom is a very close-knit fandom. So, that's the end of Revenge, mostly. We're going to talk about it again later, but we've gone through the whole damn album.
Yeah. It's been incredible. A ride.
Again, if you have anything else to say about Revenge, this is your last shot to message us so we can talk about it next episode. Hopefully, if we've left any loose ends, we'll tie them up there. But in the meantime, follow us on social media. Twitter and Instagram at Chemical Fancast. Facebook, My Chemical Fancast. If you want to send us a fanecdote or a comment about Revenge or anything, mychemicalfancast@gmail.com. We are also... drumroll? We are also launching a Patreon. Woo! Somehow they've let us do this. So we have a Patreon. The plan is to launch it with this episode. If you don't see a link yet, you will soon. Don't worry about it.
You'll see it.
It will be out. So we have a Patreon. We just kind of want to cover... Our goals are to cover our hosting costs and maybe get some better equipment. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a long-term goal, though.
It's a long-term goal. Covering our hosting costs would be good. But yeah, if you enjoy our podcast and you can spare a couple bucks.
Or even one.
Even one or $2. And you want to support us, you can give to our Patreon. And we would really appreciate that. And there are different levels and different Patreon rewards for each tier. You'll get some exclusive content access. You might get access to our episodes a little bit earlier.
But I want to make clear, though, the main content that we put out will always and forever remain free.
Yeah.
So we're not making you guys pay for this podcast. We're not going to put up a paywall so you have to subscribe or whatever to listen to it.
We're talking about, like, outtakes. We're talking about, like...
Maybe some bonus episodes or
maybe like some really short bonus mini episodes or like some humorous things. But not, the episodes, interviews, those are always going to be everywhere for free for everyone. So if you just want a little bit extra and you want to support us, you can give it to our Patreon. It is now an option. We will include a link somewhere. You can find it. So, is that all we have to... Is that all the...
Yeah,
things
that's
we have
it.
to say? Okay.
That's it.
So I think that's all for this episode.
Yes, it is.
We will see you in 2 weeks for our album wrap-up and for the B-sides. We'll see y'all later.
Peace out.
Goodbye.